Do you want to bring a beast of a support build into endgame content, but Warlock is getting a little old? Perhaps you want to play something more offensively oriented while still providing a ton of support to your allies. Or maybe you just want a no-nonsense arc build that forgoes fancy gameplay loops in favor of a rock-solid neutral game. What is going on, Guardians? Dorvrich here, and in this video, I will be showcasing just how good Arc Warlock can be in the new Arc 3.0 system. Plenty of people have been talking about how Stormcaller got the short end of the stick, and I'd say that there's some level of truth to that. Hunter and Titan both have cool, splashy things they can do with the new kit, while Warlock's kit is not as overtly impressive. But as any experienced endgame player knows, oftentimes it is the more subtle approach that sticks to the fundamentals that will find the greatest success in endgame content. And as is the norm for builds on this channel, we are not using any artifact mods, except for the ones that recur every season, so you can keep running this build into the next season and beyond. In the background, you'll see some solo Master Nightfall and Master Lost Sector gameplay 15 light under level, and just look at how many abilities we can throw out. This is all without any sort of ability affecting modifier, so everything you see here is natural. We have non-stop healing rifts, plenty of grenades, and our loyal arc buddy never leaves our side. Although we're solo in the gameplay, this build is meant for team play, and in a fire team, it only gets stronger. We will be giving massive amounts of ability energy to our teammates. They will all have an arc buddy of their own for a whole firing line, made of arc turrets and ability boosted guardians. Now let's get into the build explanation. The centerpiece of this build is the new exotic helmet, Fallen Sunstar. Not only does Sunstar make our ionic traces reach us more reliably and give us double ability energy from them, but it also gives ability energy to our allies. While Crown of Tempests does something similar and has a higher ceiling, we're using Sunstar instead for two reasons. Sunstar directly benefits our teammates while Crown does not, and Crown requires a tightly timed gameplay loop that is simply not feasible to maintain in higher level content. The rest of this build is all about taking advantage of those enhanced ionic traces. Our aspects of choice are Electrostatic Mind and Arc Soul. Electrostatic Mind is obvious for any ionic traces build. It makes traces whenever we get an ability kill or a jolted or blinded kill, and it gives us the amplified buff. Arc Soul gives us a pretty significant damage increase by giving an arc auto turret to anyone who touches our rift. While the damage isn't all that impressive, it's still quite noticeable when solo, and scales beautifully when teammates come into the equation. For Fragments, our core is Spark of Shock, Magnitude, and Ions. Shock and Magnitude together give us ridiculously strong grenades by making them both last longer and apply Jolt for some chain lightning action. And Ions makes even more ionic traces to power the build. The last slot is Flex, and in here I'm using Spark of Resistance because as a very aggressive player I love being harder to kill. Other options include Spark of Discharge for even more trace generation, Spark of Recharge to help recover from sticky situations, and Spark of Amplitude for orb generation. For our super ability, we're on Chaos Reach because Storm Trance is unusable in comparison. Chaos Reach wins by a landslide in both range and damage, and I cannot for the life of me think of a situation where I'd rather have Storm Trance. If I'm missing something about Storm Trance, please do let me know in the comments. I really want Palpatine mode to be good, but as things are, I can't justify using it. The energy weapon slot for this build is extremely important. We're using a primary with the Volt Shot perk, of which there are only two as of making this video. The Tarnished Metal Scout Rifle and the Brigand's Law Sidearm, both of which can be focused from the star chart at the helm. I really hope we get more options in the future because this perk is amazing. Volt Shot requires a kill to trigger, after which we reload, and then the next enemy we shoot will be jolted. In addition to making chain lightning, which has its own merits, this will trigger electrostatic mind and spark of ions at the same time, generating 2 ionic traces. As for kinetic and heavy weapons, you can use whatever you feel like. Just be sure to cover champion stuns and shield breaks as needed. For armor, our first stat priority is resilience, because 40% damage reduction at 100 resilience is a huge boon to our survivability. We pair this with appropriate resist mods on the chest piece to become as survivable as possible. For Nightfalls, we generally double up and match the burn. And for general content, the seasonal dual resist plus a mod for the remaining element gives us excellent all-around resistance. Our next priority is discipline, since our grenade is so strong, followed by recovery to both aid in survivability and allow us to cast more rifts. As for mods, we're on a Font of Might Elemental Well package. Elemental Ordnance is our method of choice for making elemental wells, since we can get very frequent grenade kills. We're using Seeking Wells so that we don't have to run into danger to collect wells. In Font of Might, they give us that juicy 25% buff to arc weapon damage when we pick up our arc wells. We're also running Elemental Time Dilation, and another copy of Font of Might to extend the buff duration further, to get as much uptime on the buff as possible. And there it is, an Arc Warlock that is an absolute beast in endgame, and brings a lot of support to the table. The overall community reaction to Warlock's rework was not great, and I can see why. It doesn't have the same sort of spectacle that the new Hunter and Titan have. But Arc Warlock has it where it counts. It's reliable, consistent, and of course excellent in a team. Unending ability energy, the ability to nearly always fight from the safety of a rift, and the non-stop chip damage from Arc Souls are all excellent for high-level play. And these benefits extend to all of your friends too. I'm personally very excited to bring this build into some Grandmasters in a few weeks and see how it stands up to the ultimate test. I hope you all enjoyed the build and breakdown. Drop a like if you found this video helpful or entertaining, and if you want to see more endgame oriented builds like this one, consider subscribing to the channel. You can also find all of my builds in a playlist which I will link in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I will do my best to answer every question that comes my way. You can find a dim link to the build in the description as well, along with a consolidated image of the build at the end of the video. As usual, I'll leave you now with some legendary campaign gameplay, so you can see how this build performs in a more ordinary setting. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one, Guardians.